Here I have a new laptop from ASUS, and it's a first in many ways. This is the first Zenbook A series and the lightest one yet. It's on a brand new chassis made out of a very unique material. It's also the first Zenbook with an ARM processor, the Snapdragon X series. With a potent NPU, it's ready to handle most future tasks. And this laptop starts at just under $900. Here I have the Zenbook A14 in all the colors available, and thanks to ASUS for sponsoring this video. Let's get into it. When I first picked up the Zenbook A14, I thought it was missing a battery or something because it just feels so light. And part of why it's able to be so light is due to the magnesium alloy chassis. Magnesium is super strong, but way lighter than the typical aluminum. So despite its super lightweight, it still feels very solid. But that's far from the only thing that stood out. There were 4 more features that really caught my attention. One is that ASUS added a special surface treatment that they call Cera Aluminum, which helps the laptop resist scratches and smudges. So even if you toss it into your backpack daily along with a bunch of other things, this will help it to stay looking nice. The finish is matte, and it feels different but in a good way. It's not as cold to the touch as aluminum laptops. Plus, it's also easier to grip. It almost feels like those super high quality paper. But this laptop's durability extends well beyond preventing some scratches. The Zenbook A14 has gone through a ton of intense testing and it meets military grade standards. Apparently, that means it can withstand 60 drops from about half a meter onto a steel surface. I will not be testing that myself, but this laptop is clearly built to be carried around with you on the go, and you don't have to handle it super carefully. Another really thoughtful design feature is with the hinge. It may not look that special at first, but look how smooth it opens when I'm just using one hand. The bottom deck never lifts up and there's basically no resistance. It feels very satisfying, and that's because ASUS included torsion springs in the hinge. So when you lift the lid, it balances away, and now you can just easily open it with one hand. Otherwise, I found the hinge to still be very solid. It keeps the screen at whatever angle I set it to, even when I'm using the laptop on my lap. And moving on to the trackpad, even though this is still one of those diving board style trackpads, this one gets really close to the keyboard. I think it's the first trackpad I've seen that basically has no top bezel. So if you like navigating with your thumb, it's quite easy to reach. And the keyboard feels great to type on with a good amount of travel. And you may have noticed that it's also color matched to the rest of the laptop. This color is called Zabriskie Beige, but the Zenbook A14 also comes in Iceland Gray. And I think both colors look very nice. Otherwise, the design is super minimal. You just get the ASUS Zenbook branding on the front here and a small logo at the corner of the keyboard deck, and nothing else. It looks super clean. And finally, the amount and variety of ports really shocked me given how thin this laptop is. You get a USB-A port, a headphone jack, and 2 USB-C ports, and these are USB 4, which is the latest standard. A big benefit is it can do faster data transfers. But that's not all of it. There's also an HDMI 2.1 port, which is particularly convenient for students because there may often be monitors and TVs to plug into on campus. With all of these ports, you most likely will not need to bring around a separate dongle. Overall, I'm very impressed by the design and build of this laptop. The display is also very impressive for its class, however, there are some compromises. So this laptop starts at $900, but you still get a 14-inch OLED screen that has great color gamut coverage and is reasonably bright at 600 nits. If you're a student and need to use it in bright classrooms, you won't have an issue with the visibility. And being an OLED screen, it's fantastic for content consumption, but at 1080p, it's not the sharpest. There's also Windows Hello in the top bezel here, but overall, the bezels are not the most aesthetic. And given how thin the screen module is, the screen actually appears not completely flat, and you can see my reflection here is a little bit distorted. The top bezel also houses a 1080p webcam, and you also get some nice built-in effects through the Windows Studio effects that you can use in any video meeting app. I really like the portrait blur one. Although the display doesn't have the highest resolution, it allows this laptop to have a crazy amount of battery life. For such a light laptop, it has a very large battery at 70 watt-hours, which is one of the biggest in its class. And you can get up to a Snapdragon X Plus. This one that I have has a Snapdragon X. It's not the most powerful processor, but it does have some great qualities. First is that it's very efficient. I switched over to it to do my typical daily work. So often I have a whole bunch of tabs open. I also frequently watch videos throughout the day, and this laptop is able to last me all day. It feels like it has noticeably longer battery life than the M3 MacBook Air. Plus, the efficiency also keeps this laptop quiet and cool to the touch when doing daily tasks. And surprisingly, there are 2 fans in this chassis, which definitely seem a little overkill. but no matter what you do, this laptop will be cool to the touch. Also, when you unplug, the performance remains consistent. However, there are limitations with the GPU performance, so it probably wouldn't be my first choice for serious gaming. The Snapdragon X processor also has a 45 TOPS NPU, and the NPU is what specifically handles AI tasks so that they can be done more efficiently. A couple of years ago, AI was really only good at making some random funny stuff that's only funny because of how bad they are. But it's gotten dramatically better, and now just look at Co-Creator drawing out my sketch. I'm terrible at drawing, but sometimes it is helpful to sketch out my ideas for something like my new studio setup. And here I can further guide the drawing with words and also adjust how creative I want it to be. And since the Zenbook A14 is a Copilot Plus PC, it's ready to handle all of these AI features. The 45 TOPS NPU not only can handle the AI tasks with ease today, it's also ready for more intense tasks in the future. But if you're just interested in the performance and the AI features, there's also the VivoBook at a lower price. So here's the VivoBook 14, but there's also a 16-inch variant. They're also Copilot Plus PCs, and you can get them with either the Snapdragon X processor or AMD processors. The build and screen of the VivoBook aren't as premium as on the Zenbook, and it's definitely a lot heavier, but it still has a solid feeling build and even an extra port. So overall, the Zenbook A14 is a nice feeling and well-built laptop that's different and better in many ways than the aluminum chassis that we're used to. It's super light and also lasts forever. If those are your priorities, go check it out using the links down below. And of course, ASUS has many other Copilot Plus PCs too, and I'll have the links below as well. All right, that's it for this video. Thank you for watching.